I set out 5 kinds of mustard because my dad has always treated condiments like weather, something to talk about when he doesn't want to name the storm. The roast chicken glistened, the cornbread cracked at the edges the way it used to when I was a kid, and the kitchen smelled like pepper butter and a thin thread of hope. The door opened. My mother dropped a leather folder on the table and said, "Sign the transfer of all 500 acres tonight." My father stepped in behind her and hooked 2 fingers into the front of my shirt as if closeness could be forced like a hinge. I took his wrist off my chest 1 finger at a time and told them I wouldn't sign. Then I reached behind me, switched on the foyer camera, and texted my attorney, Jude. It was the last ordinary thing I did before the dark truth showed me its whole face. My name is Aiden Walker. If the land in Cedar Hollow County carries any of my quiet in its grass, it's because I learned to listen to it before I learned to say no to my parents. They always said I was the reliable one, the son who remembered birthdays, changed oil on time, and knew which neighbor to call when a calf found a gap in the fence. In our family, reliability often looked like obedience in a better coat. When my grandfather died and left me 500 acres, his last stubborn decision, my parents behaved the way people do when a spotlight chooses a new actor and the old one is still on stage. They clapped, they smiled, they stepped over the tape line. "Marilyn," my mother could make a sentence kneel without raising her voice. "You're a good boy," she'd say, and somehow it meant I owed her more than the respect I was already carrying. Robert, my father, preferred hands to words. Not fists, never that, but the kind of grip that says I could. The kind that pushes and calls it guidance. I tried to make that night look like neutral ground. Callie, the only person who can bring me back to myself with a glance, helped set the table. "You don't have to feed them," she said. "Their hunger isn't for chicken." I told her I needed to see if anything unspoiled was left in the jar, labeled family. Marilyn arrived in heels that announced her to the floorboards. Robert planted himself like a post set too deep. The leather folder had a county recorder tab and a pen clipped to it like a surgical instrument. "We just need your signature," my mother said, bright as a showroom light. "For what I asked, polite the way you are when you're standing at a cliff and pretending you're admiring the view. For consolidating management," she said. "It's a complicated world. We'll hold the land until you're ready." "I am ready," I said. Robert's mouth twitched. "Don't be dramatic. It's paperwork." Callie's hand brushed my arm, a quiet reminder to breathe. We ate almost none of the food. My mother poked her salad like it had wronged her. My father kept glancing at the folder as if it might sign itself. Near the stove, an unpaid feed invoice peered out from my mother's open purse. A corner of it showed red ink. I tucked the image away the way you pocket a small, sharp stone. "You kept that," Robert said, nodding at the old mustard jar with my grandfather's initials from a long-ago fair. His half-smile died on the way to his eyes. "Let's handle business." Marilyn flipped the folder open. My name sat in 3 places it didn't belong, grantor, assigner, transferor. The notary stamp on 1 page had expired last year. "You already filled these," I said. "We drafted them," she replied, "to make it easy." "I'm not signing without counsel," I said, "and not tonight." "Aiden," my mother said lightly, threads looping through each syllable. "Do you ever stop managing everything? This isn't your kingdom." "It's not a kingdom," I said softly. "It's land. And land, my father said, isn't safe with a boy who read more books than ledgers." I stood because sitting had started to feel like permission. "What's this really about?" "It's about family," Marilyn said. "We help each other." "We are helping you," she added, "by not letting you carry our burdens." "Our burdens." Another small stone for the pocket. Callie's phone lit under her napkin. The gate camera had pinged. Ella Price, our neighbor, had texted her. "Everything okay? Your folks just pulled in. Want me nearby?" Callie typed 2 words. "Please do." Marilyn slid her plate away. "Sign or don't eat," she said, reaching for the soup. I lifted the pen, turned it once, and set it on my side of the table like a small refusal. "Stop," Robert said, standing. "When he moves, chairs stand aside." He came to my shoulder. His hand found my shirt again. "You're being foolish." Marilyn circled wrist tense. The bowl lifted. The broth hit my chest and ran down my ribs, not scalding, but insistent. Her face didn't change when she did it. Mine did. Something cooled behind my eyes. I didn't shove my father's hand away. I removed it finger by finger as if returning a borrowed tool. "I'm not signing," I said. "You need to leave." You will not talk to me that way, Marilyn said, stepping closer. We're just getting started, Robert said, pushing. His foot hooked my boot. The chair caught my calf. I went backward and hit the tile with a jolt that rang up my spine. For a split second, I saw the undersides of my parents, the seam in my mother's hem, the old gum on my father's boot, before I saw Ella in the doorway with her phone held high. Don't move, Ella said, not to me. To them. I'm recording. She had the presence of someone who decided long ago not to be intimidated by height. Behind her, the street went on being ordinary. Above us, the foyer camera blinked its green agreement. Robert straightened the way men do when they remember other eyes exist. Marilyn's voice cooled to room temperature. Accident, she said. He slipped. Ella answered. Then you won't mind if Deputy Carter hears it from my phone. Callie was beside me, steady. Can you sit? She asked. I did. She put a towel in my hands. The stain on my shirt would remind me without owning me. Get out, I said, and the words felt like a door closing and a window opening. They left in the practiced rhythm of people who think speed is a solvent. Deputy Tom Carter stood in my kitchen 20 minutes later, hat in his hands, posture tilted toward me in a way that said he believed without broadcasting it. You want to press charges? He asked. I want a record, I said, and I want a protective order. You'll hear from the court in the morning, he said. When the house was ours again, 2 messages arrived from a number I know better than my own sign by Friday or don't call me mom. Then we'd rather lose a son than lose our land. Callie read them with me. They're telling you who they are, she said. Believe them. I made coffee I didn't drink, then gloved up and examined the folder my mother had dropped. Pre-filled forms. My name with an extra E on one line, an expired notary stamp, a printed email asking a notary whether a courtesy backdate was possible. Backdating a notarization is a crime. I forwarded the email to the county clerk and archived the thread. Jude's office sits above the dentist, the kind of second-floor windows that have watched elections promotions and people deciding to be done. He opened the door himself, square glasses sharpening every word behind them. You brought it, he asked. I set the folder down and followed it with my grandfather's will, the deed, and the county letter that had once made the grass feel taller because it had a new name to lean toward. Jude read penciled notes and finally looked up. It's all yours, he said. Every page that matters puts you and only you in control. Here's the plan. He laid it out in steps that locked together. First, we revoke any prior powers of attorney you may have signed in a hurry or under pressure. Second, we record an affidavit of ownership and a notice of interest on the parcel with the Cedar Hollow County Recorder. That doesn't accuse anyone. It alerts the system. If someone tries to sneak a filing, the desk gets loud. Third, we file a civil request for a temporary restraining order and preliminary injunction property specific. It bars any filings, transfers, or encumbrances involving your land without court permission while we sort this out. Fourth, we structure ownership. We form a grantor trust, call it the Walker Holding Trust, with you as trustee and beneficiary. The trust will own the 500 acres. Fifth, the trust grants a perpetual conservation easement to the Cedar Hollow Land Conservancy, an independent 501c3. You can't grant an easement to yourself, so we use an eligible organization. That easement locks the land's purpose and makes coercive transfers impractical. Sixth, we seek a no-contact protective order for your safety, protective order for people, injunction for the property, 2 lanes, no confusion. And seventh, we document. Every bruise, every text, every attempt to backdate or bully. Paper is patient, but judges appreciate clarity. My parents will say I'm ungrateful, I said. They'll say whatever helps them sleep, Jude replied. You'll be busy staying safe. At the recorder's office, Mark Ellis looked at the notice and the affidavit and nodded. We'll link this to the parcel, he said, stamping the top. If someone touches your land on paper, I'll know before the ink dries. Sometimes safety is a clerk promising to make noise if anyone tries to make you small. Judge Rebecca Allen granted the protective order that week, no contact, no approach within 100 feet of my home or workplace. In a separate civil docket, she issued a temporary restraining order and set a hearing for a preliminary injunction, no filings, transfers, or encumbrances involving my 500 acres without court permission. Deputy Carter handed me copies in a clear sleeve. Post one where you'll see it every morning, he said. Not for fear, for finished. I taped the orders inside the sugar cabinet. When the door swings open, the paper looks back like a mirror that only shows boundaries. Callie and I sat on the porch that night. The gate camera pinged once. Ella texted a photo of my parents' car idling at the corner and then turning away when a patrol car rolled in behind them. The cruiser sat a while like a friend who doesn't need to speak to be counted. Whispers do what whispers do in towns like ours. The Cedar Hollow Ledger ran a piece about conservation easements, no names, just how families sometimes split over what they claim to love. At the Farmer's Supply, a cashier mentioned my mother had asked last week if a notary was flexible on dates and laughed after like it was a silly question. A brochure from the Cedar Hollow Land Conservancy showed up in my mailbox without a stamp. Breadcrumbs don't always announce themselves. Sometimes they just lie there and wait to be noticed. My Aunt Caroline called from a number I hadn't seen in years. "Your mother reached out," she said. "She asked me to float a short-term loan, said it was for you, said you were underwater." "You know that isn't true," I said. "I do," she answered. "And I thought you should know your father called the credit union asking about using future inheritance as collateral. He said the deed would be in his name by summer." She let silence carry the rest. "Be careful, Aiden." I said, and felt something in my chest settle like a bolt finding its seat. We signed the Walker Holding Trust at my kitchen table under a notary's calm eyes. The next morning, the trust granted a perpetual conservation easement to the Cedar Hollow Land Conservancy. Their director walked the north pasture with me, boots sinking and rising in the same rhythm as mine. "This locks it," she said. "Habitat stays. Subdivision dies on the vine." "Good," I said. "I'm not interested in carving the land into smaller arguments." I didn't hide the binder. I slid it onto the shelf beside the photo albums. Some things belong where memory can see them. My parents returned once more and stood at the edge of the porch reading the paper taped by the door. They didn't ring the bell. The house didn't ask them to. The protective order had turned my threshold from an invitation into a line. Robert requested a supervised conversation at the county station through Deputy Carter. 10 minutes, the deputy said. "Neutral room. You don't owe it." I went because I wanted there to be no question left unasked in me. The room smelled like dust and old decisions. Robert came in appearing smaller than his suit. He didn't move to hug me. He didn't sit forward. "I don't recognize what you're doing," he said. "I do," I answered. "I'm ending the part where love requires harm." "You think we were going to hurt you?" he asked, like we were discussing weather, and I'd said tornado. "You already did," I said, "and not just with hands, with plans." "Your mother," he began. "Made her choices," I said. "You made yours." He looked at his knuckles. "Do you forgive me?" he asked. "I do," I said, because forgiveness isn't a key. It's a limit. But nothing opens. When the deputy tapped the frame, we stood. "Thank you for coming," Robert said. I didn't answer. Gratitude is a language for bridges, and we were standing at a dead end. The ledger ran a follow-up about coercion within families, some elders pushing down some parents, squeezing sideways, some children learning to say no. My name wasn't in it. My choices were. At the feed store, someone muttered that I was ungrateful. At the diner, someone else left a pie at my table without saying a word. The county is a chorus. Not every voice sings the same melody. Lily, my little sister, texted 3 words, "I am safe." I told her the door would always open for her. She sent a small green heart. Later, she showed up with an overnight bag and said she wanted to learn how to mend fence. We spent a week teaching wood to listen to wire. The order didn't touch her. Sisters aren't collateral. The trust sent its first checks to the Women's Center without ceremony gas cards for job interviews, a Tuesday legal clinic for women over 60, a quiet room with a door that closes well. A girl named Ruby wrote a letter on notebook paper, careful handwriting, careful thoughts. She liked painting birds on scraps because canvases cost more than courage. Sometimes when people don't want you the way you are, she wrote, "It makes you think you're the problem. Someone told me I can be quiet and still be real. Thank you for helping me believe that." I pinned Ruby's letter to the corkboard over my desk, beside a map of the North Pasture and a grocery list that finally felt like it belonged to the life I was living. Marilyn mailed me 6 handwritten pages full of circles. "We did what we had to. You embarrassed us. You don't understand how the world works." I slid them into a folder labeled Maisk and filed it behind old warranties. Noise belongs where it can't rearrange the furniture. I ran into my mother outside the grocery store. She held a bag of ice like truth she wasn't sure how to set down. For a moment, I saw the woman who taught me to crack eggs with one hand. My body didn't move toward her. The order had lapsed by then. The line hadn't. "Hi, Aiden," she called as if the last months were a rumor. "How are you?" she asked. "I'm well," I said. It was true in the way health can be true without being simple. "We should talk," she said. "I don't think we should," I answered. "Is this what you wanted?" she asked. "No," I said. "This is what's left." She nodded like that was agreement. It wasn't. She turned away. I let her go because some doors stay closed even when the latch is gone. Spring returned and the creek behaved for once. I fixed a listing fence post. Dig, lift, tamp, repeat. The work made sense. A red-tailed hawk made a decision above me and committed to it. I envied it for nothing and everything. At the kitchen table, I wrote a one-page statement and slipped it into the front of the trust binder. It said that this land and the money it spins have been shaped by hands not made for striking, that the legal moves were repair, not revenge, that silence can be strength and restraint a kind of love, that my dignity isn't up for debate, that my door opens to people who know how to knock and wait. Lily stayed through summer. Callie learned the names of weeds that impersonate flowers and flowers that pretend to be weeds, and we agreed to treat them by their behavior rather than their performance. We took walks to the far edge where the field looks like a held breath. "You could have sold," she said, not as a question, but to measure the shape of what I chose. "I could have," I said. Then the lesson would have come with nothing left but money that shouts. I'd rather live with a line I can stand behind. "You made a different sentence," she said. "I did," I said. "I'll keep writing it. If you came for spectacle, you'd be disappointed. The ending wasn't fireworks. It was chores, fences to check. A tractor that only starts if you talk to it like someone's listening. Letters from women whose names I'll never know saying their lives got quieter in ways that let them hear themselves again. A girl painting birds with the colors between the names we give the sky. The 500 acres are still 500 acres. The Walker Holding Trust owns them. The Cedar Hollow Land Conservancy holds the easement. The Walker Land and Lives Trust sends steady help without speeches. My parents live on the far side of the county line, inventing versions of events that help them sleep. The Cedar Hollow Ledger has moved on to other arguments. The quail have learned the corners again. The deer know where the fence is softer. The house keeps warm like a promise. I used to think justice was a door someone opens for you if you argue well. Now I know it's a line you draw without fanfare and defend without apology. It doesn't make a sound, but everything on the wrong side of it eventually does. On the morning of the first harvest, under the new arrangement, I stepped into the field and the grass bent the way it always does under a weight it recognizes. No applause, just work. Birds lifted and settled. The air carried the weight of a promise kept. People sometimes ask why I didn't sign. I tell them this land and love both require stewardship. If either asks you to vanish to prove devotion, it has already forgotten its purpose. So here's the last thing, and it isn't a trick. How long will you sit at a table with people who have already counted you out? I know my answer. I left the table set my own, and made room only for those who can eat without asking for the roof. Story 2. It's supposed to be a quiet Sunday dinner. Roast chicken, soft jazz candles that smell like orange peel. Ordinary. Then Mom slides a thick cream envelope across the table, and my stomach bites down on itself. The Hartwell crest glints in navy wax. Celine, my older sister, is already standing to make a speech. "Everyone will remember this night," she announces, eyes shining. 31 deserves spectacle. Dad laughs, proud and loud. Secured the sculpture atrium at the Heritage Museum. Only the best for my star. I grip my water glass until ice squeaks. I am Nina Hartwell, 27, the capable one. In this house, that means free labor with a smile. Celine hands out invitations like royal decrees. Her nails are metallic. Her voice is hushed, so we all have to lean in. Black tie with a silver thread. The calligrapher said my layout was her favorite this year. I keep my face flat. I've heard versions of this for a decade. Their admiration pours in the same direction every time, toward her, through me. Mom turns back to me. She sets a thick folder by my plate. A platinum card gleams on top. "Sweetheart, you know vendors better than anyone. Can you coordinate deposits by Friday?" The folder is heavy. Swatches, photos, a hand-drawn map of the atrium. I don't open it. I remember other folders, 16 and skipping a school trip to stamp envelopes. 19 and ditching my friend's party to find backup musicians at midnight. 23 and floating the florals on my own card just until Wednesday, a Wednesday that never came. Celine taps her phone without looking at me. We'll need a champagne wall. Not tacky. Cold-pressed real flutes. Dad nudges the card toward me. Use this for deposits and we'll settle later. Later has always meant never. I set my glass down and water rims the base like a halo. How many guests, I ask as if it matters. 180 so far, Celine says. Then she tilts her head. Oh, and I want a mirrored dance floor that looks like water. Mom beams at me like she's given me purpose. No one pulls off magic like you. In the car home, I keep both hands at 10 and 2 and let the highway lights whip past. The folder sits on the passenger seat like a sleeping animal. I imagine throwing it out the window. I imagine turning around and setting it back on their perfect table and watching it burn the wood. I don't. I drive to my small apartment, set the folder on the counter, and stare at it in silence until the fridge hum becomes a roar. My laptop wakes to a pale blue login screen. I hesitate, then open my bank app. My savings glares back. The number is careful and small. Months of saying no to new shoes, saying yes to overtime, saying nothing when a restaurant server brings 2 desserts and sets both in front of Celine because she looks like a birthday girl. I breathe out. Slow. Something shifts in my chest. A soft click, then a door I didn't know I had starts to open. New tab. I type without thinking, Tybee Island cottages, oceanfront. Photos flood the screen. Painted porches, seagrass bending in wind. Kitchens with bowls of bright limes. Another tab, sunrise dolphin tours, Savannah. Another, flights from Raleigh. My phone buzzes. Mom. Then Celine, then Dad, all 3 in a row like a choreographed dance. I flip the phone face down. I create a folder on my desktop and name it My Day. Not my birthday, not vacation, just my day. I drag screenshots into it, a pale yellow cottage with a wraparound porch. A host note that says, best spot for morning light, clear water, early boats, laughing strangers, any place that isn't my family's script. The phone buzzes again. I put it in a drawer and shut the drawer with my hip. I call Jade. She answers on the first ring. Tell me you finally quit playing their party puppet. I smile in spite of myself. Jade has been my anchor since freshman year. She has skepticism and soft hoodies and a spine like rebar. I'm booking a cottage. For my birthday week, I say. And I'm not telling them. Silence, then a soft exhale. About time. I'll send details, I add. My voice is quiet. The quiet feels dangerous and good. Send me your dates, Jade says. I'll be there. I've got flight credits. I hang up and stare at the cottage again. The price makes my stomach flutter. I click reserve anyway. The confirmation banner sweeps across the screen like sunrise. Paid, booked, mine. I lean my head against the cabinet door. It's the lightest I've felt in years. At work the next morning, my desk phone won't stop. Mom wants to enlarge the string quartet. Dad wants valet parking. Celine wants meteor shower confetti at midnight tastefully. Mark, my manager, steps out of his office and eyes the blinking line. Family, he asks. Family, I say. Take 10, he says. Your reports are always early. In the break room, I answer Mom because she will show up in person if I don't. Her voice is clipped honey. We're expanding the guest list. Add 20. It won't break the budget. There is no budget, I say. I mean it to sound practical, not bitter. It slides out sharp anyway. Nina, she warns, then softens. Your sister only turns 31 once. I watch the microwave countdown with no food inside. I hear you. After the call, I open a notes app and type a sentence I'm afraid of. I will not spend my savings on Celine's party. I read it. I read it again. I lock the note and put the phone away. That evening, Jade shows up at my place with takeout and 2 mini lemon tarts. She sprawls on my couch like she lives there. What's the decoy plan? Fake confirmations, I say. Plausible timelines. Enough to keep them off me for 2 weeks. I show her a mock-up I built at lunch. Logos. Emails. A deposit number that looks real but pulls from nowhere. Jade snorts. You could run 4 weddings with this skill set and retire at 30. Don't tempt me. We toast with ginger ale like it's champagne. The bubbles catch in my throat and sting my eyes. 2 days later, Owen from finance stops by my desk with a grin and a mystery envelope. He's the quiet truth teller at work, the one who sees patterns nobody else sees. Jade looped me in, he says, tapping the envelope. I had miles expiring, first class for the getaway. A gift. I shake my head. Oh, and I can't. Let me feel useful for once, he says. You always catch my spreadsheet mistakes before they become disasters. I take the envelope. It is light and life-changing, thank you. At home, I open old journals. I don't want to. I do it anyway. I find the page with the pink gel pen, turned 12 today. Celine had advanced ballet rehearsal. We will celebrate next week. The next page says nothing about cake. It lists homework and weather. I close the book. I sit very still. Then I pull it close again and keep reading. The entries turn into a steady pattern. She is celebrated. I am useful. My laptop pings. The cottage host has sent a cheerful message about check-in. Sun is brightest on the east porch at 6:40 a.m. Bring coffee. I cry in a way that sneaks up on me, shoulders shaking. No drama, just salt and air. On Friday night, Mom calls a quick family meeting. Quick in this house means hours. We sit beneath a chandelier I have dusted more times than I can count. Celine is in athleisure that costs more than my rent. Dad flips through his phone and pretends he isn't counting who has RSVP'd on social media. This palette is wrong, Celine says, stabbing a swatch. Silver, not pewter. Pewter is sad. We can pivot, Mom tells her. Then to me, bright and expectant, you'll handle it. I look at the fork by my plate. I look at my hands. Then I lift my eyes and meet each of theirs. It's handled, I say, and it is, just not how they think. Mom relaxes, instantly relieved. Dad grins. Celine tosses her hair and checks her reflection in a spoon. On my way out, Aunt Lila, Dad's sister, catches my wrist in the hall. She has kind eyes and a tired smile. She leans in close. You don't owe anyone your peace, she whispers. I nod. The words land deep. Back in my apartment, the folder still sits on the counter. I slide it into a drawer and shut the drawer with finality. Then I change my voicemail. Hi, you've reached Nina. I'm unavailable this week. Please leave a message. I save it before I can chicken out. I pack at midnight. A sundress I never wear because it feels too bright. A book I bought last summer and never opened. Sandals. A straw hat I found on sale and hid in the back of my closet like a secret. At 5:10 a.m., Jade texts downstairs. Lights off. Bring coffee. I wheel my suitcase down the hall on tiptoe. The dawn air smells like wet concrete and cut grass. Jade hugs me at the curb. This is the year, she says. This is the year, I echo, and it doesn't feel like pretending. As the rideshare pulls away, my phone lights up. Mom. Dad. Celine. I turn it face down on my knee and watch the city fade in the rearview mirror. A line has been crossed. Not theirs. Mine. The airport at dawn is a strange kind of cathedral. Wide windows, pale light voices hushed with sleep. My suitcase wheels clatter too loudly on the tiles. Jade walks ahead with a coffee in each hand, her hoodie hood pulled low. She doesn't look back, she doesn't need to. She knows I'll follow. At check-in, the attendant scans my ticket, then blinks at her screen. You've been upgraded to first class, Miss Hartwell. The words are so foreign, I almost don't respond. Are you sure? Positive, she says, smiling. Enjoy the flight. I glance at Jade, who smirks. Owen's doing, she mouths. As we board, my phone buzzes wildly in my pocket. I don't look. Not now. I've made my choice. The plane lifts, breaking through the clouds. I press my forehead to the cool window, watching the earth shrink. A knot in my chest begins to loosen, thread by thread. When the seatbelt sign turns off, Jade nudges me with her cup. To Nina's first real birthday, she whispers. I clink mine against hers. For the first time, the toast doesn't taste like obligation. It tastes like possibility. By noon, the rental car carries us along the Georgia coast. The road hugs marshland and glimpses of ocean. The air smells like salt and pine. When we pull up to the pale yellow cottage, it's brighter than the photos. A wide porch wraps around sunlight scattering across the windows. My throat tightens. It's real, I whisper. Jade drops the bags and spreads her arms wide, home for the week. Inside, the place feels like a secret someone built just for me. Seashells and glass jars, a quilt in colors too cheerful to be practical, a handwritten note on the counter. Sunrise is best from the east porch. Coffee is in the top cabinet. It's absurd how a stranger's words can feel more tender than my own family's. That first night, we sit on the porch listening to the hush and crash of waves. My phone lies face down on the railing. Notifications pulse like a living thing, but I don't touch it. Jade sips wine. So what's the cover story now? I laugh. Fake vendor contracts, confirmations, an invoice template I built from scratch. I even sent Mom a mock deposit receipt. Diabolical. She grins. They'll never see it coming. They never see me at all, I reply softly. The words hang in the salt air. Morning comes with gulls crying over the water. I wake before the alarm and step onto the porch barefoot. The sun rises in slow fire orange melting into pink. I clutch the mug of coffee the host left behind. For once, the day is mine. When Jade joins me, hair tangled from sleep, she nods at the view. Better than a champagne wall? I laugh, surprised by the sound, infinitely. Later that day, 2 more friends arrive. Owen and Lila, my old college roommate. They step onto the porch holding a banner that reads, "Happy birthday, Nina." My name in bold letters nearly undoes me. I can't remember the last time someone planned something just for me. We string the banner between the posts. We drink cold beer from the fridge. Lila unpacks groceries, fruit pasta, chocolate cake mix. The cottage smells like garlic within the hour. Between laughter and clattering dishes, I feel something strange and warm, belonging. Meanwhile, my phone keeps vibrating. Mom, Dad, Celine. Again and again. Jade finally picks it up, scans the screen, and sets it down without answering. Still alive, she mutters. What are they saying, I ask, though part of me doesn't want to know. Theme change. More guests. Crisis about orchids. She rolls her eyes. Nothing new. I exhale slowly, let them panic. On the 3rd night, Owen brings out a surprise. A small projector aimed at the cottage wall. He cues up a slideshow of photos college work events, birthdays that never were. He's edited them to look like celebrations, balloons drawn in candles glowing. I laugh until my stomach hurts. Then quietly I cry. Owen pats my shoulder, gentle. This week we're rewriting your history. But even in this haven, shadows sneak in. One evening, as the others cook, I sit on the porch alone and open my voicemail. Mom's voice spills out brittle and commanding. Nina, this isn't funny. Celine is distraught. Call me immediately. Dad's tone is sharper. You've embarrassed us. Fix it before it's too late. Celine sobs into the receiver. You've ruined everything. How could you? I close my eyes, the phone heavy in my hand. Then I delete the messages one by one. When I rejoin my friends inside, I feel lighter. On the 5th day, we take the dolphin tour. The boat cuts through waves, spray on my face. When the first dolphin arcs into the air, sleek and shining, I gasp like a child. Lila cheers. Owen snaps photos. Jade laughs. And in that moment, I know I'm not just running from them. I'm running toward me. That night, over a simple dinner of pasta and wine, Jade raises her glass again. To Nina, finally celebrating the birthday girl who deserves it. The others echo to Nina. The warmth in my chest is so fierce it almost hurts. I think this is what family should feel like. But even as I fall asleep in the soft quilt, I know something is waiting. Back home, Celine's party is days away. And when the curtain falls on that stage, my family will finally see the truth I've hidden from them, and they will not forgive me. The morning of Celine's gala, the sea is a flat sheet of glass. I drink coffee on the porch and try not to count the hours. Not my event. Not my job. Jade leans on the rail beside me, hair in a knot, eyes on the horizon. Ground rules, she says. At 6 p.m., you can turn your phone on for 1 hour. We screen together, then off. Deal. We spend the day like people who aren't bracing for a storm. Market peaches, sunblock twice, a nap with the porch fan ticking like a slow metronome. Lila hums while she chops tomatoes. Owen fusses over a playlist no one will hear the same way twice. Every ordinary thing is a small rebellion. At 5:58, I bring my phone out like a dangerous animal. We sit around the coffee table. Jade sets a timer. 1 hour. Ready. I nod and switch it on. The screen explodes. Missed calls stack like bricks. Mom, Dad, Celine, unknown numbers. A dozen texts flash, then another dozen. The first photo arrives before I can swallow. Aunt Lila, my aunt, not my roommate, has sent a wide shot of the museum atrium. Bare marble. No lights, no towers of white roses. The security guard's desk lamp glows like a nightlight in the corner. Under the photo she typed, "I'm here." It's empty. My heart kicks once hard. Jade squeezes my knee. Breathe. Another text, same sender. A close-up this time, a printed sign taped to a door. Event crew access, Saturday 9 a.m. Today is Friday. My mother insisted on the Friday. She said it was more fashionable. Then a video pings in from a number I don't recognize. I recognize the voice. A high school acquaintance with a permanent filter on her face. I'm at the Hartwell party and I think, did they cancel her camera pans across round tables with no linens? Someone coughs. The echo is cruel. The timer on Jade's phone reads 5:59. Messages pour in. Mom, 6:01 p.m. Where are the florals, Nina? Why is nothing set up? Dad, 6:02 p.m. Call me, now. Celine, 6:03 p.m. Are you joking? Guests are arriving. Fix it. I don't reply. Another video arrives from Aunt Lila. The angle is shaky. People in sequins and tuxedos cluster by the doors whispering. The venue manager in a charcoal suit talks to my parents. I can't hear him over the murmur, but I see the tight line of his mouth. He gestures to a tablet. Mom's lips form the word impossible. Dad's jaw grinds. Celine stands behind them in a dress that throws light back at the ceiling. She looks like a statue that's about to crack. Aunt Lila whispers, Nina, breathe. They're asking for a reservation number. The video ends. Jade mutters, and there isn't one. She turns to me. You didn't pay a dime, right? I didn't, I say. Not this time. Owen leans forward. Then there's nothing they can claim from you. They assumed. That's on them. The relief that tries to rise is cut off by a new photo. My little cousin Ellie, 6, gap-toothed, holds a handmade card that says Happy Celine in careful letters. She's standing on the blank dance floor that doesn't exist. The caption from my aunt reads, She asked where the cake goes. The guilt slides in fast and cold. Ellie is the kind of collateral I never wanted. I put the phone face down. I did this, I whisper. Jade doesn't flinch. No, you stopped doing their work. The gap you feel was always theirs. Owen nods. If you hadn't drawn a line, there'd be another 10 years of this. The phone buzzes against the wood like a trapped bee. I flip it over again because I can't help it. The texts have shifted tone. Mom, 6:12 p.m. There has been a misunderstanding. I know you wouldn't leave us like this. Tell me where the contracts are. Dad, 6:13 p.m. I'll write whatever check we need. Send the contact list. Celine, 6:14 p.m. You owe me. There it is. The sentence that built my life. My aunt sends another video. It's outside now. The parking lot shines under streetlights. People are leaving in waves. A few hug my mother with that careful, performative pity reserved for people who haven't read the room. Someone in a glittering cape says loudly, I thought they had connections. The way the words they and connections hit the air makes me wince. It's not just a party collapsing, it's a mask. Jade's timer ticks. 6:17. Watch this one, Owen says softly. He holds up my screen. A group chat of Celine's friends. Their bubbles pop and scramble. Did Nina seriously not book anything? My nail tech heard they stiffed the florist last year. I'm at the valet and it's a mess. A girl I only ever see online types. She always looked tired at those parties. Maybe they used her. I stare at that last line until the words blur. Aunt Lila's final video starts with the sound of heels striking marble sharp, fast, furious. Celine storms back in with 2 bridesmaid-sized friends trailing her. Her voice carries, Get the manager back, we'll do it anyway. We'll use the deposit. Mom cuts in brittle. There is no deposit, darling. Then where is? Nina Celine spits my name like a splinter. She turns to the room, to no one, to everyone. She did this. Dad steps between them and the faceless crowd. He tries to make his voice warm. It comes out thin. We're moving the party to our home. Intimate. Exclusive. His smile trembles. The camera dips. Aunt Lila whispers half are calling their drivers. I pause the video. The timer reads 6:26. I have 34 minutes left in the hour I agreed to, and I already feel wrung out. I should say something, I murmur. A statement. Or anything. And invite a war while you're still mid-flight emotionally, Jade counters. No, you say nothing tonight. We sit in the hum of the cottage. Through the windows, the last light slips from the water. The playlist Owen built moves into a gentle song I love but can't name. We eat peaches with our fingers. The world does not end. It just keeps moving. At 7:03, my aunt texts a photo from my parents' house. Folding chairs. A lopsided tower of cupcakes on a cake stand that isn't tall enough. Someone put a silver ribbon around a lamp to pretend it's decor. The caption is 2 words, "They're trying." A second later, she adds, "Ellie is fine. She's in the den playing with the dog." I breathe out. The guilt eases a notch. Then, because drama breeds drama, Celine posts a story. Jade reads the caption aloud so I don't have to. "Betrayed by my own blood." Some people don't understand loyalty. There's a tear-streaked selfie under it. The comments multiply like a tide. Sympathy faces, fire emojis, a single dissenting heart, my aunt. I open my camera roll and stare at a photo from sunrise. The porch, the pink sky, my coffee mug. The opposite of spectacle. The truest thing I have. My thumb hovers over post. I don't press it. Instead, I send one text. To Aunt Lila. "Thank you for the truth tonight. Thank you for checking on Ellie." Her reply is instant. "Proud of you. Brace yourself. They're going to look for you when this ends." "What does that mean?" I ask, showing Jade. Jade's mouth tightens. "It means we plan for the landing. They'll want a scapegoat. For once, that won't be you." The timer hits 8:00. Jade taps the screen. The hour is over. I slide the phone to Do Not Disturb and bury it under a folded beach towel like it's radioactive. We drift out to the porch and let the kitchen heat fall behind us. Night is opening like a dark umbrella. Crickets tune up first, a few tentative chirps, and then a steady, stitched-together chorus that sounds like the hum of a distant generator. Out past the scrub palmetto, a shrimp boat slides along the black water. Slow patient, a cardboard cutout outlined in work lights. You can hear the diesel thrum low and even, and the slap of wake against pylons. The air tastes bright salt, a little engine oil, and the lemon zest Aunt Lila shaved over the last dish like confetti. Someone down the block is grilling. The smoke drifts sweet and thin. I press my palms to the porch railing. It's still warm from the day. I keep waiting to feel triumphant, I say, surprising myself, like fireworks inside my chest. Owen tips his chair back on 2 legs and studies me like a math problem with only one elegant solution. "You feel honest," he says. Triumph is loud and burns out. Honesty is quieter. It stays. We stop talking. The silence is full, not empty. The tide bobs against the pilings in an old rhythm older than our family. The sea is a single black pane, now flat again, limitless pretending stillness while it moves under the skin. Somewhere in a living room dressed up like a ballroom, Celine is performing for an audience that pretends not to see the cues. My parents are spinning. Neighbors are texting. My name is bouncing through group chats and mouths that have never said it without an agenda. Out here, the sky refuses to care. A pelican glides a foot above the surface wingtip, grazing the water like a whispered promise only the bay can hear. The porch light buzzes. The wood creaks. The world, the real one, not the theater, keeps going. I lace my fingers and squeeze until the tremor leaves them. It does. My heart settles a notch lower in my chest. The storm has started. Fine. I'm done hiding from weather. I'm choosing where I stand and what I'll anchor to. Tomorrow I say I'm going to mark my real birthday. Not the party with rented chairs and speeches, the actual day. 1 candle, 1 wish. Then I'll fly home. Owen nods like he's signing a contract. "Text me when you land." I will. I step backward into the house, turn off the kitchen light, and watch the room dim to 2 pools lamp glow over the table and moonlight on the floorboards. Whatever is waiting, I'll open my own door to it. Ay! The plane kisses the runway soft, a held breath finally let go. Phones around me blink awake like a flock of tiny birds. Mine starts chattering before we turn off the taxiway. Messages stack faster than I can read the first line. Missed calls, group threads, an email from an uncle who never uses commas. I don't open any, not yet. A text from Aunt Lila surfaces on top like a life preserver. "They're planning to corner you at your parents'. Don't go there. Choose your ground." I look through the oval window at the long chain of blue taxi lights. My hands stop shaking. I type, "My place. 6 p.m., only them. No cousins, no audience." A single heart pops up, then "Proud of you." Jade is at arrivals with water mints and silence. She hugs me without squeezing and steers us to the garage. The drive-in is gray and rinsed. The city looks like it's just been washed and set out to dry familiar buildings' new edges. At home, muscle memory takes over. Kettle on, bag by the door, laptop open. I print What Matters bank statements with yellow stripes. Calendar screenshots the email where Mom promised we'll pay you back Friday 12 Fridays ago. Text threads. The spreadsheet Owen built with neat totals in a right-hand column and notes that read like a patient teacher wrote them. I slide everything into a black binder with bright tabs because clarity is a kind of mercy. Jade wipes the table and centers 2 chairs across from the couch. Ground rules. My home, my timer, I say. Soft voices. If anyone raises theirs, it's over. You want me out here? In the kitchen, I say. If it tips, you step in. If it tips more, you call. She nods and sets a timer app where I can see it. I check the chain twice. The apartment smells like lemon cleaner and ocean salt still riding the hem of my suitcase. I change into the sweater that always makes me feel like I fit my body. They arrive early. 3 bright taps, polite but commanding the way Mom taps Crystal to hush a room. I unlatch the deadbolt and open the door just enough for me to stand in it. I am a person-shaped stop, not a hallway to be rushed through. Come in, I say. We have 25 minutes. Dad snorts. We have more than 25, I repeat. Even, not mean, that's what I have. He swallows whatever comeback he had ready. Mom glides in like someone who practices entrances. Celine's last. Hair glossy again, no mascara tears tonight. Her eyes move over the room then to me and settle like a scanner finding a barcode. I motion to the chairs. They sit because I make sitting the only option. I take the couch. The binder is warm on my knees. My phone rests face down by my thigh. In the kitchen glass against ceramic Jade's small sound. She's there without being there. Mom starts. You disappeared during a family event. We were humiliated. You owe your sister an apology. No, I say. One clean click. I don't owe an apology for refusing unpaid labor. Dad leans forward, elbows on his knees. Watch your tone. I open the binder to tab 1. Paper whispers. Highlighters glow like runway lights. Numbers line up like soldiers. We'll keep this factual, I say. I tap the page. In 4 years, I covered $832.17 for Celine's parties, decorations, rentals, rush fees when plans changed at midnight. You said you'd reimburse. You didn't. Mom flicks her hand. If you needed it, you should have reminded us. I did. I turned the sheet protectors. Here, here, and here. 3 dates, screenshots, my texts polite precise, their replies vague or nothing. Dad's thumbs up emoji smiles up from the print like a sticker on a failing test. Celine crosses a leg. The anklet flashes. This is petty. Dad pivots. What happened at the museum? Did you or did you not book it? No, I let it sit. I didn't sign contracts, didn't pay deposits, didn't send confirmations. I told you none of that. You assumed I handled it. Mom's mouth pinches. You misled us. I wrote, it's handled. I say, I meant my vacation, not your event. Celine's chair shifts. You did this to punish me. I stopped doing your work, I say, that's all. Silence comes in like fog. The refrigerator hums. A car hisses wet on the street. My pulse steadies to match the wall clock. I flip to tab 2. Calendar, 11 years. I don't raise my voice. These highlights are your celebrations. Big, loud, covered. 2 weeks later is my birthday. No highlights. No dinners that didn't get rescheduled. No plans that didn't get canceled. Nothing. Mom exhales like steam. Birthdays are for children. Yours lasted, I say, not cruel. Mine never started. Dad's jaw works. You're jealous. I'm tired, I say. There's a difference. Celine leans in. So this is about one party? It's about a pattern. I turn to tab 3. Texts asking me to leave work to pick up fittings. Vacation days spent saving vendor contracts you forgot, then forgave yourselves for forgetting. My savings used so you could look generous and on top of things. Dad tries the boardroom cadence. Nina, be reasonable. We are family. We take care of each other. I took care of you, I say. You enjoyed it. He inhales like he's winding up. I raise a palm. 2 more items, then I'm finished. From the end table, I slide a ceramic dish across the coffee table. It makes 2 small final sounds as it stops. First, return my spare keys. No more entering my home without asking. Mom blinks, then rummages in her bag. A key clinks into the dish. Dad hesitates, meets my eyes, and adds his. Celine's hand touches her purse, then stills. Second, I say any event planning I do is contracted and prepaid. For anyone, including you. Mom laughs once, sharp and bright. You'd invoice your parents? Yes. Celine's smile is thinner. Who would even hire you? The edge of a spreadsheet peeks from the binder, the corporate offsite I ran when our assistant quit. I remember the CEO's email, best run event we've had. I remember the caterer's card, you were the easiest client all year. Plenty of people, I say. People who say thank you. People who pay. Dad reaches for the nostalgia reel. After all we've done, you raised me, I say, gentle firm. I'm grateful for the roof and the food and the public school you bragged about surviving with me. That debt is paid. You don't get my adulthood as interest. We sit inside one steady breath. The apartment seems to breathe with us. Mom grabs for reputation. What about your sister's name? People will talk. They already did, I say. They'll stop when you stop feeding them. Celine's eyes spark. You're enjoying this. I'm not, I say. I hate that this was the only way to be heard. I stand. One chair leg scrapes. Power moves back into my body. You can hear it when it does. We're done for tonight, I say. I slide a single page from the binder and set it on the table. Terms in writing. Reimburse $5, $832.17 by next Friday. If not, I'll count it as a gift I never agreed to, and I won't discuss it again. No more unannounced visits. I am not your default planner. If I say no, you accept it. Break these, and I take space. A lot of it. Dad stares like it's a subpoena. Mom refuses to touch it. Celine watches me long enough for a hairline crack to cross her face and heal. You think you're strong now? She says, almost gentle. You'll run back next time. You always do. Not this time, I say. That version of me is gone. Right then, Jade appears in the doorway. Calm, phone in hand. She tilts the screen toward me. 24:02. I nod. Thanks for coming, I say, and open the door. The hallway light paints a clean stripe across my floor. Beyond it, the building hums with other lives. On my side, lemon ocean paper and ink. Mom goes first, spine a ruler. Dad follows, muttering ungrateful to the air because it's safer than saying it to my face. Celine lingers, her citrus perfume almost masking the metallic tang of warm printer paper on the table. You'll regret this, she says. I regret not doing it sooner, I answer. She holds my eyes for a beat, then steps into the hall. I close the door. The latch clicks. I turn the deadbolt slow and deliberate. I do not slide down the wood. I stand. My legs feel like mine. My hands shake, but it's storm after tremor, the kind you get when thunder has moved far enough away that you're counting for habit, not fear. Jade crosses the room and presses a cold glass into my palm. How do you feel? Clean, I say. Then free. My phone buzzes again. I flip it. Aunt Lila. Well done. I'm here if you need backup tomorrow. They're regrouping. I type, I have a plan, thank you. I carry the binder to my desk and tuck it into the drawer with my passport and spare batteries. I turn off every light but the lamp by the couch. The apartment settles like a held note released. Outside, a siren fades. A dog barks twice. In the quiet that remains, I can finally hear my own breath. Tomorrow is logistics, cold on paper, warm in effect. Freeze credit. Change locks. Call HR. Move savings. Book therapy. I follow the checklist like a rope line in fog. Maybe my life does depend on it. By noon, my parents are gone from my emergency contacts. Jade is listed. HR doesn't need a story. They just nod. Mark leans over my cube with a new timeline and a real budget. You're the only one I trust to land this. I say yes. I send the invoice for $832.17. Line items. Dates. No adjectives. At the bottom, a new policy 50% deposit to start any future event work. No exceptions. Retaliation arrives on cue voicemails, thick with guilt emails drafted like closing arguments. Celine's stories drip subtext. I ignore everything. When they show up downstairs, I meet them at the marble line of the lobby and say calm and clear, if you trespass again, I will call the police. They leave. Lila texts the group chat's latest plan, a healing dinner with a surprise lecture. I send one word back, declined. I pin a simple statement in my notes app for the day. Someone tries to pull me on stage in their version. I didn't plan or agree to Celine's event. I accepted no money. I chose myself. That choice stands. Therapy helps. I say sentences out loud that used to live only in my head. Manny the doorman delivers anonymous flowers. I leave them in the lobby with a sticky note. Take me. Tiny muscles unclench I didn't know I'd clenched. 7 days later, a cashier's check arrives for the full amount. No apology, just, "Consider this settled," scrawled in Mom's hand. I deposit it. I reply with a digital receipt stamped "Paid in full" and attach a one-page document titled "Family Boundaries, 4 Rules, Clear Consequences." I don't wait for a reply. I file for an LLC East Porch events, my work, my terms, my hours. The bank clerk says, "Good luck." I smile. "I prefer systems." She laughs. "You'll do fine." Weeks turn. I sleep all the way through. My parents stop calling unannounced. Celine and I become civil the way polite neighbors are Weather Street parking, nothing sharp. That isn't failure, that's peace. I go to family events as a guest. I bring a wrapped gift and a goodbye time. I leave on time. Sometimes I decline the invitation. The feeling that follows isn't guilt. It's pride. On my next birthday, I'll sit on the same porch as tonight, one candle set in a slice of cake I bought for myself. I'll make the same wish I made as a kid, "Calm, please," and I'll feel it land differently. It won't register as rebellion anymore. It will feel like normal. Story 3. I could feel it the moment I stepped into the restaurant. The host looked at my reservation and asked, "Table for 5." I forced a smile and said yes, despite every part of me screaming that I shouldn't have. I was raised to believe family shows up especially for milestones like this. Yet here I was, tucked into a corner booth by the window, twisting my napkin and checking my phone every 10 seconds like a freshman on date night. I even caught myself chuckling, trying to stay cool. "They're just late," I muttered under my breath as I ordered a drink. "But my name is Eric. I'm 33, and I've spent the last decade pouring sweat into a mid-sized firm, all to earn the title I finally achieved this week, Senior Project Director. It wasn't just a promotion, it was proof. It represented every midnight oil I burned while friends partied. Every Saturday I spent drafting reports instead of grabbing a beer. It was stability, it was progress, and most of all, it was validation I wanted to share with the people who promised they believed in me, my mom, my brother Jordan, my cousin Michelle, and Uncle Ray. That was my inner circle. The same ones who gushed about how proud they were last Christmas, who cried when I surprised Mom with a new car, who told me I was the glue holding us together. 2 hours later, not a single call, not one text. The only ping on my phone was a bank alert showing my tab creeping higher. I told the waiter to bring out the entrees. I was too embarrassed to leave. Now, too stubborn to admit they'd bailed. It was when I took the first bite of my steak trying to pretend I wasn't sitting in an empty booth that my phone buzzed again. Family night out for the real success story. Attached was a group photo. Smiling faces, wine glasses, my mom, my brother Michelle, Uncle Ray, all dressed up at some beachside grill. Jordan was standing front and center holding a key fob in one hand and flashing a cheesy grin with the other. Behind him, a shiny new jet ski on a trailer. The caption, "He earned this. So proud of you, bro." I stared at that photo for what felt like 10 minutes. No mention of me, not even a sorry. "We'll make it up to you. Just a big fat family gathering for Jordan and his impulsive toy." And then I saw the message from Mom sent exactly an hour before that post. "You're not exactly a priority right now. We'll catch up soon. Enjoy your dinner." I don't know what hit me harder, how casually it was written, or how rehearsed it sounded, as if she'd been waiting for the right moment to finally say it. I paid the $1.940 bill, left a 25% tip, because the staff kept pretending not to notice how alone I was, and drove home in silence. When I got inside, I didn't turn the lights on. I just sat at the edge of my bed, phone in hand, going through memory after memory like a silent slideshow. Every grocery bill I covered, "I'll pay you back next week." That never happened. Every emergency call that ended with me wiring money, just until things stabilize. Every time Mom told me Jordan was just figuring himself out. Every lie I told myself that I wasn't being used. I walked into my home office, logged into the shared mortgage account I'd been silently funding for 3 years, and stared at the payment schedule. $1 to $830 monthly, auto-deducted from my salary every 10th. I opened a new tab, clicked on the bank's contact, canceled it just like that. Then I grabbed a sticky note, scribbled 5 words, drove to the house I hadn't stepped foot in since Easter, and taped the note to the door. "Let him pay it now." I didn't even wait to see if they were home. I drove off, phone on silent. I went to bed without brushing my teeth or changing clothes. The last thing I remember was the sound of my heartbeat echoing in my ears. By morning, my phone had 81 missed calls. Most were from Mom. A few from Jordan, one from Uncle Ray, and 3 texts from Michelle that said, "Call me now. Are you serious? And we need to talk." But I didn't answer any of them. I just scrolled slowly through the missed calls, staring at the timestamps like they were puzzle pieces trying to form an apology that hadn't yet arrived. That's when I saw the voicemail icon. I hesitated. Something about hearing their voices felt heavier than reading their texts. Like it would make everything too real. But curiosity won. I pressed play, and what I heard next made me grip the edge of the nightstand until my knuckles turned white. It was my mother's voice, but not the one I grew up with. The soft sing-song tone she used when she tucked me in as a kid, or the proud voice she used when I made honor roll in high school. No, this one was cold, high-pitched, frantic. "Eric, what did you do?" "The mortgage bounced. I got a call from the bank this morning and they said the payment didn't go through. I don't understand. Why would you do that without telling us you knew we were counting on you? Your brother. He's finally doing well, and you're being spiteful." Then, like some dramatic sitcom, she dropped her voice into a teary whisper. "This is not how family behaves." I replayed that line. "This is not how family behaves," again and again, the irony sinking in deeper every time. The next voicemail was Jordan. "Bro, this is messed up. Mom's freaking out. We were going to handle it. We just needed a little time." "You didn't have to pull the plug like that. Seriously, are you trying to make us lose the house a little time? 3 years of payments. But apparently, I should have given them more time." The third voicemail was Michelle. She didn't even try to pretend. "Okay. Wow. So you're punishing the whole family now over what a dinner grow up. You always act like you're the martyr. Like you're the only one who does anything for anyone. Newsflash, you're not the only one who works hard. Eric Jordan's been hustling too. He finally got a break and we wanted to celebrate. I'm sorry. Your little job promotion got overshadowed, but you didn't have to blow up everything over it." That one made me laugh. A tiny, joyless laugh, but still my little job promotion. I sat on the edge of my bed looking around at the silence in my apartment. No family portraits, no souvenirs from group trips. Just a clean place I paid for alone. It wasn't loneliness I felt, though. It was clarity. I finally saw the pattern I'd been ignoring for years. My brother Jordan always got the attention that he's just figuring things out. Excuse was the family motto when it came to him. Even when he flunked out of 2 colleges. Even when he totaled his first car. Even when he started 3 businesses and let each one quietly fold without paying back a single loan. He was the dreamer, the one with potential. Meanwhile, I was the dependable one, the invisible safety net. They didn't clap for me when I got my degree early. They didn't throw a party when I paid off Mom's car or when I negotiated with the bank to stop foreclosure after Dad passed. But they called me a good son in public. They loved that image of me always being the stable one, the provider, the reliable background character in their louder, messier story. Until I stopped that afternoon. I finally answered one call Uncle Ray. He was always the more level-headed one, never got involved unless things went nuclear. I figured if anyone deserved a conversation, it was him. "Eric," he said, voice low and tense. "You've got to talk to your mother. Why I asked Combat Blunt so she can guilt me into covering for them again." He sighed. "She's a wreck. So she didn't know how left out you felt." I chuckled. "She didn't know." "Did she also not know?" She texted me to say I wasn't a priority. Ray didn't respond to that, just silence. I let it hang there. "They've got 30 days, I said finally. "That's how long until the bank posts a final notice." "She's scared they'll lose the house," he muttered. I shrugged even though he couldn't see it. "Maybe Jordan can sell the jet ski." Ray actually laughed just once, sharp and unexpected. Then he cleared his throat. "You're serious, aren't you? For the first time in a long time, you didn't fight me on it." I think in some twisted way he understood. Maybe he'd seen this imbalance too, but didn't say anything. Maybe he'd been me once, just further down the road. Later that night, I got a long message from Mom. She called it a misunderstanding. She said she didn't mean for the dinner to turn into a competition. She tried to soften the language, even included an "I'm proud of you" buried somewhere in paragraph 5, but then she ended with, "Don't let this one mistake ruin everything we've built as a family." One mistake. It was then I realized we've been building two very different things. I'd been building trust-responsibility structure. They've been building convenience, a system that worked as long as I didn't question it. The moment I pulled back, it cracked. The next morning, I checked the shared account. No payments had been made. No one had even tried. They were waiting for me to cave to be the bigger person. That was always the script. I closed the account entirely. By that afternoon, Michelle showed up at my apartment uninvited. She knocked hard, and when I opened the door, she marched right past me like she owned the place. "We need to talk," she said. Arms crossed. I stayed by the door. "About what?" "About this little tantrum you're throwing. You're hurting Mom." I stared at her. Hurting her? She texted me mid-dinner to tell me I wasn't a priority, while celebrating Jordan, the guy who hasn't paid for a meal in years. He bought a jet ski, she shouted. He's doing something for himself. That's not a crime? No, I said slowly, but pretending like that's some grand achievement while dismissing everything I've done for the family. That's the problem. She glared at me. I sharp. You always act like you're the victim. No, I'm done being the sucker, she scoffed. They're your family. They were, I said quietly. Now they're just people I used to pay for. That was when the shouting outside began. Jordan in the parking lot pacing next to Mom's car. I watched him through the window, rubbing his hands through his hair, yelling into his phone. I didn't need to hear the words. I could guess everyone, and I didn't move because for once I wasn't going to be the one who cleaned it all up. Michelle didn't leave right away. She stood there staring at me like she was trying to find the old version of me. The one who would have apologized by now, maybe even offered to transfer a partial payment just to ease the tension. I waited, arms crossed, saying nothing. She must have realized I wasn't bluffing, because eventually she turned without a word and walked out. No slam of the door, no dramatic final remark, just silence. It was a strange kind of calm after she left. Not peace, exactly. More like stillness after a long storm where you're not sure if the skies have cleared or if another wave is coming. I made coffee. I sat on my balcony. I watched the same neighbors walk, their same dogs and their same routines. But my world had shifted. That afternoon, I got a text from my old friend Cam. He'd been my roommate back in college. I knew my family dynamic better than most, though. He'd only ever seen the tip of the iceberg. Dude. You okay? Your mom just called. My mom said you're having a breakdown. I stared at it for a moment, then sent a short reply. Nah, just finally woke up. He didn't push further, just sent back a thumbs up emoji, and are proud of you, man. That hit harder than I expected. Around 6 p.m., my phone buzzed again, this time a FaceTime request from Mom. I didn't answer. A few minutes later, a long wall of text came through. She started soft, tried the warm, guilt-tinged maternal tone. Eric, sweetheart, please don't let this spiral any further. I know things didn't go the way you hoped, but we were genuinely happy for Jordan. We didn't mean to overshadow you. Can we talk, please? I'll cook your favorite lasagna night. Just us. We need to fix this then. Almost like flipping a switch. The second paragraph turned sharp, but canceling the mortgage was reckless. You put us all in jeopardy. You had no right to make a unilateral decision about the house, especially when you've been covering it voluntarily. This wasn't your burden to drop voluntarily. That word did something to me, as if I'd just happened to drop $65,000 over 3 years, like it was spare change. I stumbled over on my way to work. No apology, no acknowledgement, just expectation. It reminded me of last Christmas when Jordan had gifted Mom a designer bag. But use my credit card without asking. It's just easier this way, he'd said, laughing like it was a harmless prank. And Mom, she'd said I was overage, acting for demanding he return it. It's family, she had whispered, patting my shoulder. You always help. It's just who you are. But maybe it didn't have to be. Later that evening, I was scrolling through emails when a new one popped up. Subject line notice of payment failure. Final warning, I opened it. It was the official 15-day notice before the mortgage entered default status. I could almost hear the panic setting in across town. I didn't reply. Instead, I pulled up the old spreadsheet I had kept, one I hadn't updated in months. Every wire transfer, every utility payment, every temporary loan that was never repaid. Each row was neatly labeled color-coded by recipient. It took up 10 full pages, over $82,000 across the past 5 years. I stared at the total. Then I opened a blank document, titled it, "What I Owe Myself," and I began writing. It wasn't just a financial reckoning, it was personal emotional. For every time I was talked over at the dinner table, for every "we'll get you next time" birthday, for every celebration I funded and was excluded from, I didn't realize how heavy the weight had become until I finally set it down. That night, I received a video message from Jordan. He was sitting on the couch. "He's a mess," face flushed. "Man, what are you doing?" he said, voice trembling with fake calm. "You're punishing everyone over some dinner. Grow up." "Yeah, we messed up. But this..." "You've got Mom crying every hour. Michelle's blowing up my phone and now the bank's calling." He looked away for a second, then added, "Just turn the payments back on. We'll talk after." I didn't respond because they didn't want to talk. They wanted to reset the system, patch the hole without addressing the leak. 3 days passed. I want to work like normal. I started jogging again. I cooked actual meals. It was almost comical how much time I suddenly had. I didn't have to check if Jordan's car insurance had renewed or if Mom's electric bill was paid. I didn't have to set calendar reminders for Michelle's rent. And every morning I watched the group chat grow more chaotic. Michelle had renamed it to emergency. "Eric, please respond." Then mortgage crisis, then family unity chat, broken heart emoji. I muted it. I only opened it once just to read a message from Uncle Ray. I warned them this would happen. "You were never the weak one. You were just too generous." That message, I saved it because it was the first time someone in that family said it out loud. The turning point came on the 7th day. Mom showed up at my door, but not alone. She brought Jordan, and Jordan brought the jet ski on a trailer parked right in front of my apartment, like a peace offering wrapped in idiocy. She knocked once. Then again, I didn't answer. She called out, "Eric, sweetheart, please, just let us explain." I watched from the people. Jordan was pacing, holding a paper in his hand. From what I could see, it looked like a bank notice. Mom stepped back, looked directly at the door. "I know you're in there," she said softly. "You're proving your point. Okay, we get it. You're upset, but don't throw away your family over one mistake." Another one. One mistake. That was when I realized she wasn't really here for me. She was here to fix the mortgage, not the relationship, not the betrayal, not the years of emotional negligence, just the payment. I didn't open the door that night. I just stood there watching them through the peephole until Mom gave up. And Jordan finally peeled away in that shiny black truck towing his dumb $9,000 apology. I remember wondering if he'd even made the last insurance payment on it. The next day was payday. For the first time in years, my account didn't show a giant deduction to cover a house I didn't live in. My paycheck felt heavier, like it meant something now, like it was mine. I stared at the total for a long time, trying to remember the last time I had looked at my own bank balance and smiled. But the peace didn't last long. By noon, I got a call from the bank's collections department, the house. My mother's house was officially 2 payments behind, and because of the type of mortgage, the default process had already started. I wasn't liable, of course. I'd removed my name years ago after covering enough temporary payments to realize I was being roped into more than I ever agreed to, but that didn't stop the bank from trying. "I'm not the responsible party," I told the woman calmly. "You'll want to contact the homeowner directly." There was a pause. Then the woman said something that stuck with me. "She said you'd handle it. Said you've always handled it." That's when I realized Mom hadn't told them I stopped paying. She hadn't called the bank herself. She just waited, expected, assumed that the safety net she'd wrapped herself in wouldn't dare walk away until it did. That evening, I got the knock again. This time, Mom was alone. No Jordan, no trailer. Just her in a tote bag. "Eric," she said when I opened the door. "Please, we need to talk." I didn't say anything. I just stepped aside and let her in. She walked like she was entering a stranger's house. looking around eyes wide like she was expecting to find photos of herself still on my walls. There weren't any. I motioned for her to sit. She didn't. She stood by the window and looked out, then turned to face me. "We're going to lose the house." I nodded. "I figured you can stop this," she said, voice cracking. "You can call the bank end." "No," I interrupted. "Come final." She blinked. "What?" I said. "No, I'm not calling the bank. I'm not making any payments. I'm done." Her jaw tightened. "This isn't just about money, Eric. It's about family." I almost laughed. "Mom, the night of my promotion dinner, you texted me to say I wasn't a priority. Then you threw a party for Jordan because he bought a jet ski. You call that family, I call it a joke." She flinched. "It wasn't meant to hurt you, but it did. And you didn't care until the bills stopped getting paid?" Silence stretched between us. She lowered herself slowly into the chair like she was settling into the weight of it all. "I didn't realize how much you were covering," she said softly. "That's the problem," I replied. "You never wanted to realize it." She shook her head, voice barely above a whisper. "Jordan's not like you. He needs more help." "No, Mom," I said firmly. "He needs consequences." She looked up at me, eyes glassy. "He's your brother and I'm your son." She stared at me, and for once there was no defense, no script, no guilt trip, just the empty echo of truth sitting heavy between us. "I didn't want to believe it," she said. "That you'd just leave us like this." "I didn't leave," I corrected. "I stopped being used." She swallowed hard. "What are we supposed to do?" "You figure it out like I had to, like adults do." She blinked, then looked away, and for a moment I saw her. Not as the mom who raised me, but as a person flawed, scared, and entirely unequipped to deal with the reality she'd built when she stood to leave. She didn't hug me, she didn't cry, she didn't yell, she just gathered her bag and paused at the door. "Is this really the end?" she asked. I thought about it. About birthdays I spent alone, about covering holidays, tuition, medical bills, about every time I was asked to make room for someone else, or no one made space for me. "It's the end of me pretending this was love," I said quietly. She nodded, didn't argue, just opened the door and stepped out. And that should have been the end, but it wasn't. Because 10 days later, Jordan showed up, not at my door, at my work. I was mid-meeting when my phone buzzed with a text from the receptionist. "There's a man in the lobby asking for you. Says it's urgent." "Jordan?" My stomach dropped. I excused myself and headed down. There he was, sitting in a chair, tapping his foot, wearing sunglasses indoors like some kind of failed celebrity. When he saw me, he stood. "Hey, we need to talk. I didn't move here." "Yeah, well, you've been dodging everyone. Figured I'd come to you." I led him outside. We stood under a tree near the parking lot. He wasted no time. "We lost the house," he said. I stayed quiet. "They gave Mom 30 days to vacate. Michelle's trying to help but can't do much. Uncle Ray's ticked. Says we should have seen it coming." I nodded once. "Why do you do it, man?" he asked. "You got your little promotion." "You were fine." "You mean financially?" I asked. He shrugged. "Yeah, you're the one with the stable job. And that meant I had to carry everyone else." He looked at me like I was speaking a different language. "I bought the jet ski because for once I wanted to do something for me," he muttered. "And I stopped paying the mortgage because for once, so did I." He stared at me and something shifted. His mouth twitched, a realization creeping in behind the ego. "Mom's gonna stay with Michelle," he said eventually. "I'll probably crash at Uncle Ray's." "Good." He looked down at the gravel. "I guess I always figured you'd just keep handling it." "I know," I said. He looked back up as narrowing. "So that's it. You're just out, not out," I said. "Free." He shook his head. "You think you're better than us?" "No," I said. "Just better without you." He didn't like that, but he didn't argue, just turned to walk to his car and drove off. That night, I opened my phone scroll through the group chat one last time, read every message I'd ignored. Then I deleted it. 1 week later, I moved to a new apartment, bought a desk I'd been eyeing for months, booked a solo vacation. I even got myself a new number. The money I used to spend on them, I put it into a high-yield savings account. The time I used to spend worrying, I spent reading, hiking, sleeping in, and the guilt gone. Because sometimes the cruelest thing you can do to someone who's used to leaning on you is stand up and walk away for good.